Hazrat Imam Ali is said, if the world were a better place no one would be born crying. These words carry a deep wisdom that touches the heart of every believer. They remind us of the reality of this world, a place filled with trials, sorrows and imperfections. When a child is born into this world, the very first act is crying. It is not laughter, it is not a smile, but tears, because this life is not paradise. This life is a test. The beginning itself is marked with a symbol of struggle and hardship. Imam Ali, as through this saying, opened the eyes of humanity to a reality that many often forget. He explained that the crying of a newborn is not without meaning. It reflects the reality that the world is full of challenges, deception, trials and pain, a place where one cannot find perfection but only a temporary stay and a passage towards the eternal home. When we think deeply about this saying, we realize how profound it is. This world is not meant to be a place of comfort and perfection. Allah created it as a testing ground, a place where people are tried with health and sickness, wealth and poverty, joy and grief, ease and difficulty. Imam Ali has pointed to the very essence of existence here, that life itself is a journey full of challenges. Every soul will taste death and every life will face trials. So the crying of a newborn is like a reminder to the parents and to all people that we are not here for everlasting joy but for a mission and a responsibility. Imam Ali also reminds us indirectly that if this world were perfect there would be no reason to long for paradise, no reason to strive for Allah's mercy. If this world were flawless, people would become heedless and forgetful of their Creator, but because of its difficulties, its struggles and its imperfections, it constantly reminds us to seek Allah, to turn towards Him, to ask for His help and to find true peace only in His remembrance. When a child cries at birth, it is as if that child announces to the world that this life is not paradise, that this life will be filled with challenges and that true happiness lies only in the hereafter. This wisdom also teaches us not to be deceived by the glitter of this world. Many people run after wealth, beauty, fame and temporary joys, but they forget that none of these things can remove the sorrow from life. No matter how much wealth one gathers, no matter how much power one achieves, life will always carry within it difficulties, worries, sickness, aging and finally death. Imam Ali has wanted us to see through the illusion of the world and understand its reality so that we do not get lost in its temporary attractions but rather prepare for the eternal abode. When we reflect further, we find that the crying of a newborn is not just a symbol of sadness but also a sign of awareness. It shows that the soul deep within knows that it has left a place of purity and peace. The world before birth is free of the burdens of life, but when the soul enters this world, it enters a place where pain, hunger, fear and sorrow exist. Therefore the newborn cries because it has entered into a realm of struggle and distance from that serenity it once knew. This meaning is powerful and connects us to the greater spiritual reality that true peace is only with Allah. The saying of Imam Ali also inspires us to be compassionate towards one another. When we realize that life is full of challenges, we learn to treat others with kindness and mercy. Every person we meet is carrying some hidden burden. Every soul is crying in some way, whether in silence or in voice. And if we remember the words of Imam Ali, as we will become more forgiving, more understanding and more caring. The crying of a newborn reminds us that all of us came into this world through tears, and throughout life those tears continue in different forms, so we should live with empathy and love for one another. Another dimension of this wisdom is about patience. Life is not about avoiding hardships but about enduring them with faith and trust in Allah. Crying at birth is natural because life is difficult, but through patience, perseverance and faith a believer transforms hardship into a means of drawing closer to Allah. Imam Ali has wanted us to reflect that hardship is not a punishment but a reminder of the temporary nature of the world and a call to prepare for the eternal life. Patience in times of difficulty is a key to paradise, and the crying of the newborn is like a first lesson in this journey. This statement also reflects the balance of hope and fear. The world is a place of tears, but it is also a place of opportunities. It is the field in which seeds of good deeds are planted so that they may grow into trees of reward in paradise. If the world were perfect, there would be no meaning in striving, no meaning in struggle, but because it is imperfect, it gives meaning to patience, to effort, to sacrifice and to faith. The crying at birth is the beginning of a story, and the believer writes that story with his deeds until he meets his Lord. When we examine history, we see how the great personalities of Islam understood this truth. The prophets faced trials, the imams faced hardship, the righteous faced pain. None of them expected this world to be paradise, rather they bore the difficulties with dignity and faith and taught others to do the same. Imam Ali himself faced poverty, injustice, wars, betrayal, and yet his heart was full of wisdom and strength. He knew that this world was not a place of permanent peace but a place of trial and preparation for the eternal life. His words remind us that when we face pain we should not despair but rather take it as a sign that this world is not meant for comfort and that the true place of peace is yet to come. This wisdom also has a psychological dimension. Crying is not just a symbol of sadness but also a form of relief and healing. A newborn cries to open its lungs to breathe life into its body. In the same way, when we cry in this world, it is a way of cleansing our hearts and turning back to Allah. Tears shed for His sake are not wasted but become a means of mercy. So the crying at birth becomes a lesson for us that tears can be a source of strength and connection with our Creator. Crying reminds us of our weakness and our dependence upon Allah, and in that weakness we find true strength, because Allah's mercy covers the weak and the broken-hearted. If the world were a better place, no one would be born crying. Imam Ali gives us a wisdom that transcends time and culture. It is as relevant today as it was in his time, because human beings still chase after illusions, still struggle with trials, still cry in secret, and still search for peace. But this peace cannot be found in the world, it can only be found in Allah and in the eternal home He has promised for the believers. So the saying should awaken us from heedlessness and remind us to keep our eyes fixed not on the glitter of the temporary but on the light of the eternal. Every believer should take this wisdom and reflect upon it deeply. The crying of the newborn should remind us to be humble, to be patient, to be compassionate, and to never become too attached to the temporary joys of this life. It should remind us that life is short and that every moment is precious. It should push us to prepare for the hereafter with good deeds, prayers, remembrance of Allah, and service to others, because in the end it is not the laughter of this world that will matter but the peace and joy of the eternal home. Therefore we conclude that the wisdom of Imam Ali is a treasure of guidance. He explained the world in one short statement, more powerful than volumes of books. He made us reflect on the very first moment of life, and through it gave us a vision for the entire journey. If the world were a better place, no one would be born crying, but because it is a place of trial, we must live with faith and patience and work for the eternal life that holds no tears, no pain, and no sorrow, only the mercy of Allah and the everlasting joy of paradise.